In the lush village of Amaisii, a place wrapped in green hills and echoing with laughter from the morning market, there lived women whose strength defied expectation. They weren't just homemakers, they were legends in wrappers. These women could climb the tallest palmwine trees like they had suction feet. With machetes sharper than their tongues, they cleared thick bushes for yam farms that stretched past the eye. Motorbikes roared under them as they sped through muddy paths, carrying baskets of cassava, children strapped to their backs, and hope in their hearts. If something needed fixing, Mama Ada was there with a spanner. If someone needed defending, Auntie Ngosi's mouth was sharper than the village chief's staff. They were bold, fierce, and unstoppable. But there was one thing, one strange twist of fate that humbled an Amaisii woman. Pregnancy. For some unexplained reason, whenever an Amaisii woman became pregnant, her body betrayed her. The strength that once powered her through wild forests and noisy markets abandoned her, and sickness crept in like a sneaky thief. These women who once carried bundles of firewood without flinching now struggled with morning sickness, swollen feet, dizziness, and strange cravings like charcoal and roasted sand. And so, you'd think that in this village of mighty women, their husbands would step up, showing love and support. But no. The men of Amaisii had become comfortable. Take Mazi Ebuka, for example. Husband to Onyinye, the fierce farmer who once uprooted a plantain tree with one hand. While she battled nausea and swollen ankles, Mazi Ebuka would sit under the village mango tree, his throne of laziness, yelling, "Onyinye, 10 wraps of fufu, and make the oha soup thick. No water inside, do you hear me?" He hadn't pounded yam since the day his beard began to grey, and even that was questionable. Then there was Emeka, whose snore was louder than a generator. From sunrise to sunset, he lay on his raffia mat snoring like he was being paid by the hour. Meanwhile, his heavily pregnant wife sold fresh palm wine at Nkwo market, shouting prices, dodging greedy hands, and smiling through pain. She'd come home with coins and backaches, while Emeka stretched and asked if there was fish in the soup. And don't get me started on Mazi Ifeanyi, the village's unofficial skirt inspector. Morning till night, Ifeanyi trekked the dusty paths of Amaisii with no destination other than distraction. His eyes followed every girl that passed. His tongue sharpened with compliments nobody asked for. At home, his wife was fighting snakes in the farm, battling sunstroke, and still finding time to wash his clothes. The gods watched. The spirits whispered. As the moons passed and bellies grew, the once indomitable women of Amaisii finally reached a stage where the pregnancy took full control. Onyinye, the fearless palm wine climber, could no longer bend down to weed her farm. Even tying her wrapper became a 3-person job. Her machete lay somewhere in the bush, forgotten like Mazi Ebuka's promises to wash the plates. Emeka's wife, who used to pound Fufu with rhythm like a talking drum, now struggled to lift the pestle. Her fingers swelled like boiled yam, and her ankles looked like they owed the gods money. The mortar sat lonely in the corner, collecting dust and judgment. That's when the real drama began. One humid morning, Mazi Ifeanyi, fresh from a full night stroll around the village, inspecting skirts as usual, looked at his 8 months pregnant wife napping on the mat and snapped, "What sort of a lazy wife are you? Look at the farm! There are weeds everywhere! You need to clear it! You need to harvest cassava! I haven't eaten freshly made akpu in 2 days! My stomach is crying! That rubbish food from Iya Basira made me sleep in the toilet like a cursed spirit!" He flung his slippers carelessly, scratched his belly, and bellowed, "Stand up from there and make me fresh oaf onubu, and fufu make it soft like a pillow. I don't want any fight." Without waiting for a reply, he sauntered off again, resuming his tour of feminine distractions. Across the village, similar complaints echoed like bad music. Amaisii Ebuka was yelling under his favorite mango tree, still baffled that Onyinye hadn't fetched water, farmed, cooked, and sung him to sleep despite her feet looking like 2 tubers of yam. I didn't marry her to sleep. Oh, see her there, sleeping anyhow like she's carrying baby Jesus. Even Virgin Mary used to sweep. Another husband, whose wife returned from Quo Market smelling of roasted fish and exhaustion, grumbled loudly. She doesn't even fulfill her marital duties anymore. She just comes back, flops on the mat, and when I ask for it, she'll say, "Please, I'm having headache." Headache key? Every day. The men gathered. There was noise. There was confusion. Some shouted. Some scratched. Some adjusted their wrappers like warriors preparing for battle. "Pregnancy is not hard," Amaisii Obiora declared. "They are just exaggerating every complaint. Imagine my wife telling me she's craving roasted bushmeat at 8 p.m. Is that not wickedness? Roasted bushmeat with pepper," another man added. "My wife wanted it with cold zobo. I almost cried." The final verdict? They all nodded in agreement, voices heavy with ignorance and overconfidence. "Nothing day inside pregnancy. Now just small bell. We men se fit do 'em easily if we get chance." And like a chorus of palmwine drummers, they muttered, "Abi-oo," as the complaints roared louder than a faulty generator. A few men in the meeting sat quietly, their faces heavy with discomfort, not because their wives stopped cooking, but because they knew better. These were the few husbands of Amaisii who didn't just marry women, they respected them. Mazi Chukwudi, for instance, had started doing small chores around the house. He even learned how to boil water properly, after a minor kitchen explosion involving Gary and stubborn matches. His wife, Amaka, was 8 months pregnant and couldn't walk long distances anymore, so Chukwudi walked to the stream himself. People clapped, he smiled shyly. Ikenna the carpenter, whose wife was carrying twins, massaged her swollen feet each evening. He fetched firewood, bathed their toddler, and even attempted okra soup. It came out looking like engine oil, but she appreciated the effort. He spoke during the meeting. "My brothers, pregnancy no be beans. These women need our support. If they fall sick, the house will collapse." The room fell silent for 2 seconds. Then it erupted in laughter. "Oh, Chukwudi Don turn houseboy!" one man shouted. "Ikenna is now a certified woman wrapper. Don't worry, we'll sew the fabric for you." Amaisii Ebuka scoffed, adjusting his wrapper like royalty. "Real men don't enter kitchen," Emeka added, wagging his finger like he was reading from a village constitution. Chukwudi tried again, calm and firm. "So, being a man means watching your pregnant wife struggle while you snore and chase skirts." They shouted over him. "Now real man dey command, not beg. Pregnancy is not sickness. She should act like a proper Amaisii woman." "You dey fall hand, Chukwudi. Come and collect your woman wrapper." They mocked and they muttered, thinking themselves warriors of masculinity. But outside, the sky turned strange. Clouds gathered like angry elders and the wind stopped blowing. The land was listening. The gods were deciding. And soon, very soon, the real lesson would begin. If you're enjoying this story, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share to your family and friends, and hit the notification bell to be the first to know when we upload a new story. Now let's continue. It began with a strange storm. The night before, as the villagers of Amaisii lay in their homes snoring, murmuring, or in Ifeanyi's case whispering compliments to his pillow, thunder cracked through the sky like the gods were slapping a drum. Yet, not a drop of rain fell. No wind, no lightning, just a singular clap that shook the shrine walls and knocked a calabash off Papa Ogbodo's altar. Even the spirits, resting gently in their sacred pots, woke up blinking in confusion. The land had spoken, and by morning, the punishment began. Emeka was the first to rise, or rather, to struggle out of bed. His wrapper felt tighter than usual, gripping his waist like an angry python. He waddled to his cracked mirror, frowned, and muttered, "Ah, it must be the fresh fufu I ate last night. That pounded yam sat well, maybe too well." He turned sideways, paused, then screamed, "Ah, what is happening, ooh? Who bewitched me? Oh, Nyi!" His stomach was round, not beer belly round, pregnant woman round, with a slight curve, a pulsing ache, and the kind of heaviness that mocked his jokes from last week. Across the village, Ifeanyi rolled off his mat and ran to the corner, throwing up like he had swallowed 10 spoons of potash. His tummy was bigger than his head, protruding with elegance and disgrace. He sat up, panting, shouting to no one in particular. "Ahan, Bia this woman. The oha soup I ate last night, was it poisoned? Or did she add small juju?" He staggered to the mirror and upon seeing his reflection gasped, "Amaisii, jinibu ihea." Suddenly, from Mazi Ibuka's compound, loud wailing began. The man who used to stretch his legs under the mango tree was now clutching his stomach and begging Onyenye to check if his baby was kicking. All around the village, lazy husbands turned heavy-bellied mourners, feet swollen like goat bladder, vomiting like they drank bad palm wine, craving things like burnt groundnut and ice-cold zobo with no sugar. Emeka ran outside, wrapper flying behind him like he was being chased by spirits. He needed answers. Only one person could help. Papa Ogbodo, the chief priest. As he stormed toward the shrine, he noticed a slow-moving group, his fellow men. All of them had matching symptoms. Bellies like inflated drums. Swollen feet dragging across red soil. Eyes red from sleepless cravings. Some held buckets to vomit into. Others stopped to spit every few steps. One tried to scratch his back and burst into tears because his arms couldn't reach around his belly. "Ogre pregnancy is not beans," someone muttered. Another clutched his wrapper, whispering, "I think mine is twins, I'm seeing double." Together, groaning, waddling, and confused, they arrived at the sacred shrine of Papa Ogbodo, clutching their stomachs like rejected masquerades. The gods had delivered judgment, and the chief priest was already waiting. Inside the shrine, the air thickened with hot sweat and divine judgment. The men dropped to their knees, bellies round and heavy, some panting like tired goats after harmattan racing. Papa Ogbodo, the chief priest, stood silently. His chalk-drawn face gleamed under the shrine's flickering lantern. He let the silence marinate long enough to make grown men tremble before finally announcing, "The gods are angry." The air shifted. "You mocked creation, dishonored the womb, and made your wives suffer while you lounged like leaking rooftops." He paced slowly, letting each sentence slap like fresh Gary on hot mortar. "This is your punishment. You, yes, you are pregnant." Gasps and wild whispers filled the shrine. But there is no baby, right?" Mazi Ibuka asked, shaking like an unripe pawpaw. "Yes," the priest replied. "No baby will come, but your bodies will go through everything, every ache, every craving, every labor pain." The men wailed, "Labor key, please, oh, the gods should forgive us. We are very, very sorry." Some began crawling on the shrine floor, pleading like children who broke a pot of soup and tried to glue it back with palm oil. But Papa Ogbodo raised his staff. "Until you understand what a woman goes through, until you treat your pregnant wives with love and honor, this curse remains." The men were finished. As they waddled back to their compounds in tears, the villagers gathered like spectators at Nkwo market during wrestling matches. Children pointed, laughed, and shouted, pregnant men, Emeka come and buy Pampers, ooh." Even the woman rapper husbands, now heroes of empathy, watched with folded arms and soft smiles. Back home, they had no choice. Amaisii Emeka, belly bouncing like a ripe watermelon, began farming again. He swung his cutlass with groans. He harvested cassava while adjusting his wrapper every 5 minutes. He pounded Fufu with the dedication of someone praying for deliverance. His wife, Onyinye, now 8 months pregnant and finally relaxing, she crossed her legs, delicately scooping ugba with fried fish, smiling like Queen Amaisii herself. "Ooh, nee," Emeka muttered, wiping sweat from his face. "Anything for peace." He bathed her, rubbed her legs, massaged her shoulders with shea butter while blinking through back pain. And when he gathered enough courage to ask her to massage his swollen ankles, Onyinye smirked. Emeka, pregnancy is not that hard now. You're a man. You can do it yourself." He sighed. He had once used those same words. Meanwhile, Amaisii, belly bigger than a generator tank, still roamed the village in denial, trying to chase skirts like nothing had changed. But the women weren't having it. One fine girl carrying a calabash turned around and said, "Please shift. You are not our type. Your belly is bigger than a GP tank." Another added, "Okra, go and breastfeed your fellow men." They laughed until their wrappers shook. Ifeanyi adjusted his wrapper and limped away, sweating palmwine and regret. Weeks passed in Amaisii, and the belly epidemic continued. The village market was filled with men holding their backs and groaning like broken calabashes. Amaisii Emeka was now a professional okra stirrer. Ifeanyi stopped chasing skirts not by choice, but because no woman wanted to date a man whose belly knocked over stools. But slowly, something began to shift. One morning, Emeka woke up early, fetched water, farmed half a plot of land, pounded yam, prepared spicy achara soup, and even plaited Onyinye's hair while singing old highlife songs softly. He rubbed her feet with shea butter and placed a wrapper across her lap like royalty. Just as he reached for the palmwine calabash to fan her gently, poof! A loud sound like a snapping broomstick echoed. Emeka stumbled back, blinked, and touched his belly. It was gone. Flat, normal, man-shaped. Onyinye looked up and smiled. "Nah, the gods have eyes. You are now free." Emeka shouted so loud even the goats skipped. Word spread quickly. Ikenna, who had been massaging his wife's back every night and fetching herbs from the bush for her cravings, also woke up light and belly-free. One by one, those who treated their wives with kindness saw the curse lift like smoke, dancing away at dawn. But the stubborn remained cursed. Amaisii Ifeanyi, still refusing to learn, tried to flirt with Nneka at the Okra stand. She rolled her eyes and said, "Okra, your bell is bigger than our village drum. Go and breastfeed your mistakes." Even the local dog barked at him differently, like it knew. He sighed deeply, muttering, "Maybe I should start washing plates." Eventually, every man, whether through effort or embarrassment, chose kindness over ego. The last pregnant belly vanished during a village-wide apology ceremony, led by Papa Ogbodo himself. He raised his staff and declared, "Let the land be healed. May the bellies never return, unless needed again." The women of Amaisii laughed, winked, and tucked their wrappers proudly. And from that day forward, every time a man dared insult pregnancy, someone would whisper, "Be careful, oh, the gods still remember." And so, balance returned to the village. Pregnancy was no longer a joke, it became a badge of honor. The men who once laughed now told stories with misty eyes, warning younger boys never to underestimate the power of the womb. Love bloomed differently. Husbands didn't just support their wives, they cherished them. The women of Amaisii finally rested, and their laughter danced through the air like butterflies on market day. Even the shrine stayed quiet. The gods, satisfied, watched silently from above, ready, just in case anyone forgot. And if you ever passed through Amaisii and heard someone whisper, "Pregnant men," just smile and know. Sometimes, the biggest lessons come from the roundest bellies,